Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Tough, and I'm just going to sit down and do some painting. Basically, with the awesome new setup that we have here, I've been able to kind of just sit down and start cranking out content really quickly. I initially wanted this to be something where I can just like sit down and like start doing news stuff, like as Warhammer community started releasing news articles for Age of Sigmar, but they haven't really done that lately. But I was going to sit down and do a whole bunch of painting tonight, and I thought, why not just throw it up online and chat with people? Because my normal buds who I do hobby hangouts with online are unavailable. So, skipping all that, let us... my camera here is being a little strange. There we go. So, as you can see, we are working on a Chaos Warshrine. And so, yeah, I'm excited about that. Should be a good time. It's a model that I have wanted to paint for a while. It's one of those things that like the bonuses aren't super great, and so I never thought to really invest in it. Like there was just always something more interesting to buy at the moment. But I have one due to our good friend Mark over at Rerolling Ones, who is the based. Hashtag there goes my Warhammer hobby hero. Watch him as he goes. And so yeah, we're just gonna sit down and do some painting tonight. I have no real agenda for this show other than talking about kind of where I'm at in the hobby right now, because I'm all over the place. I'm very much all over the place. I get like this sometimes, and that's kind of why I trade armies a lot, where kind of everything sounds interesting. Like, I think in the last like 48 hours, I have gone from like, I want to play Free People, which I do, because for many lore reasons that I've talked about before, and then gone straight from there to like, you know what would be amazing is like Clan Pestilence, which actually is our next lore week coming up. And so, I don't know, just kind of in a weird headspace where it's just like, I want to do everything. And normally that's the kind of headspace I get into when I sell or trade off an army, but not really in a position to do that quite yet. So instead of trading everything off and clearing out collection and stuff like that, I am just going to paint what I already have. So I see people are pouring in the comments. Of course, there's like a weird delay. Hello, everyone who is joining me. Miguel, yes, this is a Chaos Warshrine. I've had it for several months now, and just decided, you know what, it's about time. Actually, I was ready to start painting it a while ago. I shared it on Instagram when I built it, or finished putting the sub-assemblies together, because Mark actually built in the sub-assemblies. And then we just haven't, and I'm in the Seattle area, we just haven't had a good day to prime stuff outside with spray cans lately, so kind of a delay there. Kenzie's painting her first Blood Warrior. Awesome. Or Blood Reaver, I'm sorry. Yep. And just do 60 more and you'll be all set. I'm not sure how I feel. If you guys are Corn players in the chat, tell me, what do you think about Blood Warriors versus Blood Reavers? I always go with Blood Warriors because I think they tend to do more, but I understand with the way the blood type points work and the whole army thing like that, like Blood Reavers, that kind of stuff can be definitely very effective. So let's see, Take Over Mars. So for my list for the 1,000 point tournament, I have Marathi, which is on, yeah, he's a, Take Over Mars is a patron of our Patreon with a fantastic looking Marathi model. You should go check it out. I think you can see it if you're not a patron, but yeah, cool community over there. 20 Witch Elves, 10 Doomfire Warlocks. think that'll be a good list. I think it'll be good at what those things do. I think Marathi's a ball buster at 1,000 points. Our Doomfire Warlocks, what are they? Battle Line If. I'm curious. I don't remember that Battle Tome enough off the top of my head, to be honest with you. I guess that's in the general handbook, but someone correct me about that. As far as like what it'll do, I think it'll kick some teeth in with Marathi, but if she ever goes down, that list crumbles like paper. 1,000 point tournament though is very interesting. I think eventually I want to run events nearby. It's kind of like on my like hobby bucket list to like have a tournament, I guess. I know exactly what I want to do. I don't know. I'm not an event coordinator. Do you know what I mean? Like, to be honest, breaking news here. So Doug's idea for a tournament is it would be a narrative event that is all about charity fundraising, because I love that stuff. I just eat it up. Probably be for the Seattle Cancer Care Alliance, which is near us. They do a lot of good work with leukemia in children and things like that. And what I want to do is an event that in my head, my brainstorming idea is calling it Destined for Change, or no, Destined for a Cure. That's what it is. And so basically, everyone brings an army, and nobody gets allegiance abilities. Your units can still be the battle line if thing, like that's the only allegiance bonus you get. But everyone gets to use the Tzeentch dice mechanic, Destiny dice. And throughout the games in the tournament, you can buy additional ones, and that's how we raise money for charity and stuff like that. That's my idea. Thing is, I haven't quite. I mean, there's other tournaments that do similar things, like charity stuff. As far as like buying bonuses and stuff like that throughout the game. I just need to actually like get a hold of a TO who runs something like that and figure out their usual mechanics, because I don't want to be too broken. At the same time, everyone complains about how Tzeentch uses cheater dice, and I think it'd be super fun if like blanket rule everyone had the same ability. I think that'd be kind of fun. Anyway, I'm sorry, I got way off track there. I was talking about my ideal event. Let's see what you said about yours. We got some. Oh, sorry, my mouse ran away from me here. Blood Warriors are good for 10-man units, but Reavers are better for more bodies. Totally, I agree. But I don't know, man, because like Blood Warriors have a very similar profile to Chaos Warriors, like the basic dude. Not Marauders, but the one step up. And man, those guys in units of 10 are awesome. Like, I always used to run them in 5s just to like meet the battle line requirement, but at some point I swapped to 10s, and I was like, this is absolutely amazing. So I think there's something about, more bodies is good also, but like in terms of like survivability, like, 10 Blood Warriors is better than I think 20 Blood Reavers, because of like, I don't know how much damage they can absorb, because it's 20 wounds on a 4+, if I'm not mistaken, and the ability to deal mortal wounds back as they're getting hit versus 20 to 30 Marauders on a 6+ now. Used to be dash, but then I think they got rid of that for some units. Still, Plague Monks don't have any save, but that's okay. So let's see here. Kinsey, I want to focus on Blood Warriors over Blood Reavers for a more thematic army. Yeah, and honestly, I was surprised. I just did the review earlier this week as far as novellas go, and the War Queen has them fighting a Khorne force, and there's Blood Reavers, the weak little dudes, in there, but the bulk of that army is all Blood Warriors, and I was like, that's so cool. That's a force that I could get behind. See here. Blood Reavers with a Warshrine is a good combo. Yeah, because then you'd the Warshrine he has an aura of like a save after the save, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't actually looked at the War Scroll very much. It's more just thematic that I'm building this. But he can do something like that, and then also give them reroll all failed hit rolls if the shrine is also marked Khorne, which if you're taking them, there's no reason not to. Which is pretty dope. Let's see here. They nerfed the mortal wound reflect on Blood Warriors. Please explain that. I'm kind of curious about that. How did they nerf that thing, Joel? I think the fists are worth it if you need them holding objectives. The fists are worth it. The fists. I'm not sure I understand. So yeah, I'm just going to jump and let you guys chat it out about Blood Warriors. I'm going to ramble on about something else here. So I was talking about being in a weird space lately. Yeah, I'm just kind of all over the place. So what happens to me is if I don't play enough, I tend to get in these weird moods where I just kind of like want to start a new project. Just, I think partially because it keeps that joy of the hobby up for me. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now, where I haven't had the opportunity to play a whole lot. Life's been kind of crazy and hectic, and Jack is like falling off the grid until like February. That's not true. He's in the chat right now. But he's going to be a busy man with his line of work and the holidays coming up. And then everyone else, everyone just got busy lives. Mark's got like 10,000 kids, so that's not true. Yeah, I think I'm going to try and strive to get an AOS game in this week specifically. I really truly want to start running my Slaves to Darkness again, probably dedicated to something. And that honestly is where I kind of have been getting tied up, because in the past week I've definitely considered leaning hard into Slanesh stuff, obviously with the cool new models coming out. I totally dig it. But then also Nurgle stuff. And Nurgle's, I played Nurgle stuff before, well, I guess before the actual Battle Tome. I always played Nurgle-themed Chaos Warriors and stuff like that. I always had a lot of cool conversion ideas for that. But lately, I've just been really thinking about going full Maggotkin. And I know that I talk about always being about Chaos Undivided. It's just lately, man, I just want some fun games and some flavorful models. And that's kind of what I've been jonesing for. And I think, temporarily dedicating myself to a Chaos God might not be a terrible idea to get, I don't know, some hobby juices flowing and stuff like that. Dylan said, I watched all the 2+ lore videos and fell in love. Bought like 2,500 points worth of sweet eBay deals. Love the models and enjoyed building them and pumped to paint them. Awesome, dude. That's exactly. Join us as we paint all the things. Right now I'm doing a base of Rakarth flesh on one of the big dudes carrying the Warshrine. The other big dude's going to be Iron Rack skin from the Deepkin line. Not my favorite paint, but it takes to shades pretty well, particularly Druchii Violet. So that's what he's going to be mostly. So I'm just going to finish up with Rakarth flesh on the dude man bro, who I guess the priest, because he's the guy who's doing the prayers. Not quite sure how that works. Also, something I totally spaced on that someone pointed out, like in the Reddit post, was that the Warshrine is a priest that can be dedicated. So if you dedicate him to Khorne, you get all the Khorne prayers. And I had never connected those dots before, and I was like, that is super legit, because there's some really good Khorne prayers. So, not that I'm going to go Khorne, but the option's there. I'm excited about that. One of the things is, so for this coming week, I've been learning a lot about, what are they called? Pestilence, Clan Pestilence. Just because that's kind of the next week's lore videos is going to be Clan Pestilence stuff. And one of the things I was really, I don't know, I forgot how interesting I found was prayers, and how that's like a total sub-mechanic in the game that is actually super cool, and I really, really like it. And so I've been looking pretty hard at them too, on the note of me having an eye for every single faction in the game. I was actually in our group chat with Rerolling Ones. I did say today, like, I want to play, my problem is that I want to play every single army. And I just don't have the budget for that, except for Moonclan Grots. I don't connect with the Grots. I own a bunch, but they're probably not going to last very long in my closet, to be honest with you. I've traded off things that I've had deeper connections with. Time to listen to some hobby talk while I write an essay due tomorrow. Absolutely, and I really hope your essay benefits from learning about painting war shrines in the Mortal Realms. The Zombie Man. Katie says, maybe you should build a big Slave to Darkness army, then have small units of God-specific units which ally in if you want to switch it up. That's kind of always been the plan. The thing is that I suck at plans, to put it really simply. The original plan was build a Slaves to Darkness army, and then you can have a mortal force for whatever god. Like, literally whatever god. The problem is that then I got really into playing Slaves to Darkness, like, itself, once they got their own... so, I should say, that plan started off long before Slaves to Darkness got their own allegiance abilities, and then when they did, I was like, oh, obviously I should do that. And so I kind of veered off course there for a while in terms of following that plan. And so think now is kind of a point of coming back to it, right? So I'm looking at this, and so like that's kind of the question I'm at now. It's like, okay, so if I go, let's say corn, we'll just pick a direction. If I go corn, I can obviously make all these dudes corn, and then how many corn things do I buy to add into them? And so, yeah, I don't know. Because what I don't want to do is have like a bunch of fragments of random disparate armies. Let's see, Kenji says Doug is like Zinch. He plans and plans so much they bungle each other up. That is exactly what I am. The problem, you know, and I would do Zinch for that exact reason of just me being thematic to my own self. The problem is that I don't like any of the Zinch mortal stuff. I think, well, as far as mortal stuff, they just have Slaves of Darkness and the Carrick Acolytes, actually. That's not really a big thing. Why not just go with a corn scheme to match the STD? So, like, why not paint corn in a way that matches this army? Yeah, so backing up, I'm sorry, I should clarify a little bit. The original plan was make Slaves of Darkness in a generic scheme. So black and white is my generic scheme that kind of works with everything. And then basically have like 75% of my army be Slaves of Darkness, and then the additional, I guess it's 20%. It's always 20% of what your army list is. Ally that in from something to make synergies happen. And so that's actually a plan that I'm going to go back to. The easiest one to do with that, the paint scheme is going to match. Like all the Nurgle and the Slaanesh and the Zinch and the Khorne, they're all going to be white. So like white armor with that, or white tabards to make them blend with these dudes. So I'm going to go back into that. I think the easiest one to do that with, frankly, is Khorne, because the Blood Secretor is just good. It's just the easiest piece to do that with. I'm trying to think of the best one, though. I mean, Nurgle is fantastic if you can get Blades of Putrefaction off. It's life-changingly good. And I guess I do have the Glotkin. No, I could do that. I could do that. I do have the Glotkin. The thing about running like a Maggotkin of Nurgle is that I don't really want to spend that much money to buy 2 to 3 trees and stuff like that. I don't know. Because the thing, and that's always my problem where I get caught up, where it's like, okay, if I want to play with, we'll say, Slaanesh stuff, how far down the rabbit hole do I really want to go in terms of building and painting demons and stuff like that? I don't know. That's not true. I do know. I want to play them all. It's more about a wallet restriction. Oh, man. Yeah, the Blood Secretor is a pretty dope addition to any force in any given Chaos army. What's interesting is that the Glotkin has almost an identical, but it's his Allegiance ability, which, it combined that with some of the stuff that you can see in the Clan Pestilence books, gets really, really nasty. You're best to wait for the new box set for one. I'm not sure which one you're referring to, John. Let's see here. This guy's almost done. It's another layer or something like that. I think the worst part of painting is when you have to wait for something to dry before you can put a new layer on. It's the most annoying thing. Doug, if you want, I can 3D print Nurgle trees that I use for proxies. They are printable scenery vomit trees that are perfect fits. That is a very kind offer of you. I mean, here's the thing. Like, I eventually want them. It's more just like, how much do I invest in those other factions when I have a feeling that Dark Oath is coming out soon? I have no confirmation of that whatsoever. Oh, I'm getting all kinds of offers for free. I would mail you a Bloodstoker for Christmas. Very, very kind of everyone. I appreciate it. I'm gonna save that goodwill for in case someone breaks into my car and steals my army. How about that? That's always probably my number one biggest fear whenever I leave the house with my models. Like, someone's totally gonna steal this crap, thinking it's a stereo system. It happened to me before, actually. My first War Machine army was stolen. So I'll just bank that goodwill. Okay, set that aside. trying to think, if I had to start all over again and go into like, what army would I choose? Like knowing how frantic I am about choosing random things. I would probably go to Khorne just because it's so cheap and easy because there's so many ways to get into Khorne. So that might be a good thing. I don't know. I know Jack at Rerolling Ones is getting a little tired of playing Khorne just because he plays it a lot. He plays it out locally, like off camera, and so that might be maybe he'll drop the 8-pointed icon of Khorne and I will pick it up. The only thing about Iron Rack Flesh that I don't like is it is honestly like trying to mix Elmer's glue when you thin it out. It's a very chunky paint. Not like in a necessarily good way. No, it's in a bad way. I mean, it's fine, but it just takes a lot of work to get the way I want it. Here we go. Everyone's got that one crap brush they just have just cuz. Kinsey, oh, I did nominate you for Warhammer Heroes. Oh, thank you so much. I do appreciate that. I've had a few folks say that, and I try to be grateful that I don't think I highly doubt that I will ever win that, but I am extremely grateful for people's just acknowledgement that, I don't know, it feels good to have people say like what you do matters, and I've had a chance to inspire folks. It means a great deal to me. There just seems to be this big rift between channels. Like, I don't know. It seems like... I'm trying to think how to say this. Like, there's this weird... If you look at the YouTube subscribers levels of all the channels that you visit, right? I don't know. I feel like a lot of times there's this huge jump between, like, 12,000, and then it always goes straight to, like, 31,000, 50,000, which is just a big jump. And I'm not sure what causes that, but I feel like there's just this next level. Yeah, I'll get there eventually. I'm a patient man. I've been doing this for 3 years. I can do more cool stuff for 3 years and enjoy this. You think Iron Rack skin is stuff? My pot of Ceramite White has like half of it stuck in the top. Yeah, so I gave up on Ceramite White about 3 years ago. And so what I do if I need to paint white, what's it called? I don't paint white with white. I paint white with Celestar Gray and then build up with Ulthuan Gray and then go to a white if I really need it. Because we have a local, what is it called? Black Templars player, which is like a black and white scheme for 40k if you're not familiar. And yeah, he also had the same problem. He kept doing Ceramite White and he would just like glob it on because it was the only way to get coverage and it didn't look great. And so I was just kind of giving him pointers. I was like, don't do that. Stop doing the Ceramite White. It's a terrible paint. It's basically just ground chalk and tears inside of a bottle. Yeah, I had good luck with going with Celestar Gray and then building upward rather than starting at white. Because even if you put Ceramite White over like a literal white primer, like my Nighthaunts are all primed white, it's clunky. Let's see here. And I did prime these guys black because I am a doofus, and so it's probably going to take like 3 layers of the Iron Rack to get this right, but that's okay. I use Ceramite White because how I do the yellow on my Stormcast is that white base, then Cassandra Yellow Shade. Oh, okay, so you build up with a shade. That makes perfect sense. I get you. White ink from Michaels. I have never heard of white ink. I've only ever heard it with colors. Like traditional colors, not I guess white is a color, but you know what I mean. Let's see here. So the strong vibe that I'm getting from the chat is, 1, stick with Slaves to Darkness, and then probably temporarily align myself to a particular Chaos God. Is that an accurate assessment of what people's thoughts are? And also, yes, Vince Ventrella on his channel, Warhammer Weekly, has a ton of great videos for using inks and stuff like that. But yeah, and then as far as which one to start with, probably not corn. Just because I want to give everyone some time to reel from Jack's Cornate adventures. Cool, I got an affirmative from Kinsey. That's all I needed. I just need an echo chamber, guys. That's all I need. Okay, and we'll just get into the last little bit of this dude. I gotta find a way to make this channel more Bob Ross-like. I don't know how I can do that. Just have like the joy of painting, some soft music in the background or whatever. Yeah, Joel, you're right. STD is a great army for... Sorry, Slaves to Darkness. People don't like to use when I say STD. Great army for just switching playstyles. That's exactly, you know, like I said before, it's originally why I got into them. I just kind of lost track of what I wanted to do with them. But I think it's time to get back to that. So I think with the Warshrine built, thing is, I have a bunch of Marauders. I'm not going to build the Marauders. I'm wondering if the Marauder kits are going to go away when the new Dark Oath style stuff comes out. So I'm probably going to avoid that, building those dudes. If, I don't know. I'm moving away from Horde armies a little bit. Especially, it's different in AOS, because I feel like models die so much heavier in AOS because wounds spill over, whereas in 40k with my Orcs, they don't. So a 30-man unit of Orcs stays around longer than a 30-man unit of Marauders in AOS. Point is, I'm investing heavily in Warriors of Chaos and stuff like that. So I think we'll do that. And I think, I don't know, I think Kenzie has a good point. Maybe Nurgle is a good starting point. That might be the way to go. Plus, they're a great army to have for the channel where I can, you know, the games might look very similar aesthetically, but I can play them as a Slaanesh cult, as a chosen, as a Khorne cult, and all kinds of stuff like that. So that'd be kind of cool. Although the Slaves of Darkness were the only army that I've never felt the urge to trade away. Like never once. And that is awesome. Acrylic Chemistry to try running some Chosen. I've heard very mixed reviews about Chosen, and the thing is that they're that kind of unit that if I ever saw them in a store, I would probably impulse buy them. But I don't, and so I never think to order them. But I know they have Rend, which is something that Slaves to Darkness sorely lacks. In a big way. I'm trying to think of what other really good ones to get into. So the Slaves to Darkness allegiance abilities are they're very meh. Just because they don't offer anything that the faction kind of needs. Like mortal wound output or ranged abilities or whatever. Slaanesh can get me some speed or some super killer heroes, like Jack's thing with like a Keeper of Secrets and some other units is just bewilderingly good. But that's because it uses a bunch of debuffs that drive our group crazy. Let's see here. I feel like all I do is just keep adding more layers of Rakarth flesh. By the by, oh, someone asked, do I have Sail? I do have Sail, and Sail is a Slaves to Darkness model. He's a very cool one, too. His shtick, if you don't know, Sail is a not Black Library. He is a Forge World model. He comes with he has a pet, oh my gosh, what's the word? Spawn. I don't know why I almost said scavenger. He has a pet spawn named Nightmaw, and so basically like Nightmaw can tank wounds for him if he's within 3 inches. When you set them up, you buy them out together, and then when you deploy them, they're separate units. But as long as Nightmaw's within 3 inches, he can tank wounds for Sail. And Sail's magic spell or whatever is he can take a unit and then teleport it anywhere on the battlefield outside 9 inches of enemy. And so what I've done before is just take a 40-man block of marauders, set them up on the front line, and then teleport them all the way forward, so they're engaging the enemy turn one. And it's hit or miss. So when it's good, it wrecks absolute face in every possible way. When it's bad, I just fed a whole bunch of cheap infantry to my opponent, and in the case of playing against Khorne, it gave him a blood type point for free. And so I don't know. I never got great at telling which was which. It's tough because if you're playing a scenario game, it's really good to pin down your enemy or chuck a dude onto a strategic point or whatever. But for the battle plans where it's very open as far as killing your enemies with that, it tends to not be that great. Did someone say Locus of Beguilement? Yes. Yes, that all day. If you haven't read the rules in the Locus of Beguilement, it's savage. Tristan, do you think Dark Oath will be a standalone book or combined with Slaves to Darkness? That is a great question, and I don't really know the answer because I'm getting some. I go back and forth. I have conflicting ideas. What I wonder if I'm trying to word this. So the thing is that right now we only have 2 Dark Oath models. You have the War Queen and the War Chief, right? Is that his name? War Chief, the dude who came in Silver Tower and is now a standalone. He's just kind of standing there with one arm on his sword, looking super baller, and I really do like him. The thing is, right now they're in Slaves to Darkness. They actually have that keyword, which makes me think, oh, maybe they're going to redo Slaves to Darkness, and Dark Oath will be a keyword on some of those war scrolls, but not all of them type thing. And then the other part of me is well, every time they've released a new faction, it is its own thing, but they can also take Slaves to Darkness as in-faction things. So, are they going to rewrite the war scrolls for Slaves to Darkness units to include Dark Oath as an option, just like they would for any Chaos God? I'm not quite sure how I feel. I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't have a solid answer for you. What I would like is if it's its own thing and they can take Slaves to Darkness kind of in the same way that any of the gods can. It's just a mortal Dark Oath word, keyword based on that, so it kind of is broad enough to have Slaves to Darkness units fit in there. But I'm honestly not quite sure. I've said before that I more than anything I want to play Chaos Undivided. And so if Dark Oath is not what I expect it to be, I'm not going to be disappointed. I'm just probably not going to play it. That's fine. I think for right now the truest Chaos Undivided book there is Beasts of Chaos, and it's pretty rad. I love the idea of the units not inherently having devotions to a Chaos God, but that their battalions give them those kinds of things. That's super cool. I dig it. Not everyone was super into that because they wanted I want my Pestigors instead of a thematic battalion of Pestigors. And I get the objections, but I still really like it. I think it's pretty great. And while all my flush things are dry, we're going to dry brush some lead bilcher onto this actual shrine itself. Give everything a chance to dry up a bit. Okay, I've had some suggestions for Be'lakor. Yep, Be'lakor has been suggested to me by Rerolling Ones guys, actually. And I honestly had never really looked over that war scroll before until that moment. So there's still, here's the thing. I think I gave up on the Slaves to Darkness stuff way too early. I think there's still a lot more going on in there that I just wasn't willing to drop a couple bucks and explore. Really what it came down to. It doesn't mean the faction... I never said the faction was bad. I don't think it's built badly. I just think its own allegiance abilities are very lackluster compared to what you get if you devote yourself to literally any of the other ones. Even the Slanesh one, the Slanesh rules are pretty dope. Okay. Trying to think of what parts I want silver, what parts are going to be gold ultimately. Thinking mostly silver. I like the silver look. So, yeah, to answer your question, I'm not quite sure how it's going to roll out. Honestly, I wouldn't even mind if they just rewrote, like, just renamed Get Rid of Slaves to Darkness and just call that entire thing any mortal that can dedicate itself to anything Dark Oath. I think it's a cooler word. I think it's a more sellable idea than STD being your acronym. Not great, not a strong start. Every time I post a video about Slaves to Darkness, I use the acronym STD, and I always get a question from my local friends who don't play Age of Sigmar, but watch this channel, or, or follow my feed, or whatever like that, because they support me as a small business owner, that kind of stuff, and they're just like, oh, Doug is talking about STDs. That's super nifty. So, I think even if it was just a move to do some rebranding for what mortals could be in the mortal realms, I would be okay with that. Even if that's all they did. They got rid of the Marauder kit and then made it more sellable. I would be like, done. Sold. I'll take 10. Let's see here. Kinsey asks, what's the story behind your Slaves to Darkness? They're from Chamon, but what turned them to chaos? My story that I had written seemed really cool and original until a Black Library author did the exact same thing for the Call of Archaon series. I felt super equally impressed and devastated when I read it. Basically, the idea from that story was there was a good king. He was a good... Oh, are we still streaming? My whole screen is kind of blanked out for a second. Oh, I figured it out. Okay. I have a second monitor that just kind of flickered and lost power, so I just unplugged it. So basically there was a good king who saw the forces of chaos coming, and like in many of these stories, like a good king will see what's happening and then kind of either capitulate or surrender or whatever like that. And so in the story that they actually did publish, he decided to become a Khorne champion for the sake of one day standing before Khorne and ultimately killing the god himself as revenge for his people. So he kind of took on the mantle of a Khorne person to ultimately kill Khorne, which is kind of like the ultimate boast that Skarbrand does himself. And my lore was something very similar with the Justicar of the Burning Seas being someone who didn't want his civilization to fall to chaos, but saw that this was just unwinnable, and so he joined for the sake of preservation. And then to mask what could be considered cowardice, became the most amazing killer and stuff like that. I'm still kind of hashing out the lore because before, when we did, like, say, Path of Glory on Rerolling Ones, he was dedicated wholly to Tzeentch, and so I made a lore based on being wholly dedicated to Tzeentch. But I want to kind of twist it so that it's more, I don't know, integrated to being Chaos Undivided. Now that we see that's kind of being a thing, because, again, the book Dark Oath kind of outlines, like, you have this character who ultimately becomes a champion of more than just one Chaos God, and that's awesome. So that's, yeah, I'm still kind of working on it, honestly. Like I said, I put them away a while ago, and so I kind of let that... My brain stopped kind of like getting excited about them once I put them on the shelf, and that's a shame. So I'm kind of unpacking them right now and trying to get into like, okay, so like, what do I want this guy to be? I made a whole bunch of sorcerers that I have no backstory for. Still got to do that. But yeah, that's the skinny of it. Fell to chaos to protect his own people, and then so that he wouldn't be called a coward, went total mad freak berserk. As far as how to make that fit into a faction that works for anyone, still working on that, because I still, like I said, I still don't see how GW is going to do it in their lore. So I'm kind of on the fence about how to make mine go any further, which honestly is also lending to me leaning towards just dedicating to a specific god temporarily, because I'm tired of waiting. Which I'm sure everyone who has a faction can understand. Just tired of waiting. Oscar Miguel. Hi, Doug. Just wanted to thank you for introducing me to AOS. Having fun with Skaven Scryer. Greetings from Peru. Nice. That is awesome. Well, congrats on getting into AOS. I really hope you enjoy it, and it's a ton of fun. It's a shame that you started to join me when I'm doing a very boring live stream, just rambling about my army's background lore and stuff like that. Acrylic Chemist, I still have my War Queen in a box. I hope they update her scroll. I do too. You know, it's when it came out, it was more because I was more disappointed, not because she wasn't like a super mega baller. You know, I didn't expect this like I don't know, indestructible woman to come out in the battlefield and just like take names and destroy everything. You know, like no character is that good in game. However, what I did expect was a little more utility, and most importantly, I really did expect her to be able to take marks of chaos, like being marked to Nurgle. So that is the biggest hindrance to taking her, because every one of those battle tomes has something she can use. You know, they all have really cool weapons or artifacts that would really be a massive bonus to her, but she can't take any of them. All she can do is Slaves to Darkness or Chaos Undivided. And it's just like, that was such a miss. Don't make her Slaves to Chaos if she can't be everywhere. That's an opinion, of course, but yeah. Like, all the tools that she needed to be super awesome are there. She has a great stat line in terms of, you know, to hit and to wound, and she, right, she has her big axe, and she does, I think she gets bonus attacks if she charges. It's, her and the Dark Chief both have similar but different bonuses. Like, she's got all the makings of a cool, small hero that you'd want to take and give, if you're taking a battalion, like, and you have an extra artifact, give her a super cool weapon. But yeah, I think that's the biggest miss. She didn't need to do much other than fit more places, and they chose against that, which I think was a bummer. Especially when you compared it to how good the Stormcast, you know, Malign Portent's dude was, and even the Nighthaunt one, because at the time they didn't have all those cool Nighthaunt units, so he was actually a super important piece to have if you wanted to play Nighthaunts before they were cool. And, yeah. Okay, I think I'm getting close to being done. I think I'm going to have all this, these railings be gold, or like a brass, I'm thinking. And now that I'm actually like highlighting it, I'm getting all these cool symbols that I didn't see when I primed it. So, like a Nurgle, Tzeentch, I think that's Slanesh, and Khorne. All the different symbols for the Chaos Gods on there. That's pretty legit, if I don't say so myself. I think if I was to make a second one, I would do something else here. Like, instead of the tall tower with the dais on the top, I'd probably do something else, but I'm not sure what. But it seems like my chat is helping me decide that I should go into Nurgle. I'm getting some strong Nurgle vibes from, well, the only person who responded was Kenzie, so she wins. I did the Tzeentch stuff before. I gotta say, though, Tzeentch Mortals is so much more fun than Tzeentch Demons. I don't know if you guys watched some of those earlier games on Rerolling Ones. So earlier, I bought the Tzeentch Battle Tome, and I was going to obviously run my Mortal stuff as Tzeentch things. I gotta tell you, like, you don't see a lot at the top tables, but like a lot of people use the Destiny dice for like casting and unbinding and all those kinds of cool things, which is really great because Lord of Change is good at all those things. However, people didn't expect Marauders, a 40-man Marauder horde, to auto-pass a 12-inch run. Stuff like that got super cool. So yeah, I don't know. There's some cool game with Destiny dice. Also, if you stick strictly with the Battle Tome when it comes to your basic unit choices, so like Horrors or Acolytes or whatever they are, Zangorg dudes, you kind of miss out on one of the coolest spells. At least you miss out on the full effectiveness of one of the coolest spells, which is there's a spell in the Tzeentch Battle Tome where depending on how many destiny dice you have, you get to re-roll failed wound rolls of blank. So if you have like 1 destiny dice, you get to re-roll failed wound, save rolls of 1. Okay, that's not super great. If you have, I think it's like 6 or more destiny dice, you get to re-roll 1s, 2s, and 3s. When you combine that with, say, a unit of Slaves to Darkness Knights who have a 4-up save, I think it's either a 5 or 6-up save on mortal wounds, it is bonkers good, because it's like Mystic Shield, but to an infinite degree better. So yeah, I don't know. That kind of stuff took people by surprise, and I dig it. Kitty says, do that conversion with the Ether Gold balloon that you talked about in your Tremon video. Another Warshrine, or convert a Sigmar Hurricane. Actually, I have the I have like the little chariot part for the Sigmar Hurricane in storage somewhere. It's missing a wheel, but I can get that off a bit site pretty easy. I think that's a good plan. I think for the next one I might do some Chamon-esque stuff. It's one of those things. So I'm gonna be real. Talk about some hypocrisy in gaming. Of just like, I have these great ideas of what to do with these models, and I share them in videos, but I don't always have just the time or the resources to make them happen. And so, like, frankly, until you mentioned that, I forgot about it, because I just kind of put it on my mental shelf and that was it. But that is a super solid idea that I came up with. Pat myself on the back, and thank you for reminding me. It's just life gets busy and in the way. Okay, you come back to these guys. That guy looks pretty good. Iron Rack Flesh Dude looks not so great. Okay, let's get some more layers on him. Once I find that paint. Here we go. Let's see here. Ken says, one day I'm going to convert St. Celestine into a Knight of Zero, so that would be amazing. All right, here. All right. Merchant says, I want to make a Nurgle Warshrine, but I don't want to use the original models. Any suggestions? I think the best place to start with that idea is decide, do you want it to be a construct, like this is wood and metal within its lore, or do you want it to be a monster? Like, do you want to have a monster be the thing that this shrine is riding on the back of, or do you want it to be, you know, like some kind of vehicle-esque thing? Like, this is a vehicle-esque thing. Yeah, I would say start deciding there, and then we can let me know in the comments. I'll keep an eye out for you. Game Talker says, put huge speakers in the back of this thing, Mad Max style. That'd be amazing. Okay, we're taking a poll. What music do you think a Chaos Warshrine would play? Because I'm thinking like Who Let the Dogs Out, or Time After Time. If it's I just want to like play like what is it, Endless Love. So I do that Happy Gilmore scene. I'm just like, friends, listen to Endless Love in the dark. Be amazing. That's a Slaanesh Warshrine though. Endless Love is the Slaanesh one. See, y'all are going with like hardcore music, and I guess what I find really funny is like when something just doesn't fit. You know what I mean? Like the Super BA thing playing like the My Little Pony theme track. Not that, I'm not a brony. But yes, you are all absolutely correct. Metal is far more apropos, I suppose. Although, you know what also, like, honestly be very realistic and thematic is probably just drums. Just big drums. Like, replace this mast thing with just like a row of drums, which actually I have a bunch of drums because the Iron Draws kits come with the drummer. So I have like 2 of those, and I could probably get some from the Boar Riders, which have like a double drum. And that way you can just like, you know, give a marching pace, and they would all do that. I think that's actually not a bad idea. Game Talk Skrillex. Yes, Skrillex. Be amazing. Or, if they really wanted to torture people, they could just play music that gets stuck in your head. Like, not good music, just music that gets stuck in your head. Just like 24 hours of John Denver Country Road. Or like Come Sail Away by Styx. Everyone at the base of the mountain is just miserable, repeating it over and over again. Merchant Prince said, one idea we had for the Warshrine was using a big snail from the Blight War set as a basis. Yeah, that's kind of what I was asking for if you wanted to do a monster. The snail is going to be really small for that. This thing is chunky. It is a big model. But exactly that kind of stuff, yeah. Here we go. Now we're having fun. Ed Sheeran. Yeah, dude, can you imagine? I just imagine like a bunch of Free Guild people like, oh my god, what's that sound? I don't know. I heard the army was coming. The Slanesh army was coming, and I don't know what it's going to be like. And then all of a sudden, like, sunrise cracks and this army shows itself, and Thinking Out Loud is playing at full volume, just deafening. Let's see here. If you go Mad Max with the speakers, see if you can find the Goth Rockers that GW made until recently. The Goth Rockers were amazing. Just orcs shredding down guitars. I had one when I was a kid, and I didn't understand what it was trying to be, so I sold it off. If I knew then what I know now. You got Barney's theme song. Oh yeah. This is much more my thing. Let's see here. But yeah, I love this dude. This is the priest guy up front. Oh, Kenzie Quinn makes a re-rolling one's opening sketch. Oh yeah, and here's the thing: when I get into doing my own battle reports, I do plan to do well. It's not true. It has nothing to do with battle reports. At some point, I do plan to do more sketches. Like I did the Mutual of Chaos, all the beasts in the Wild Kingdom, like a documentary style. I did the Azir HR thing. I want to do more of that stuff because I think it's fun. But I also want to do one where it's like, what does inspiring presence look like? And I want to have a few things. One of which is the Shia LaBeouf Do It thing superimposed, change a bunch of colors to make them look like a Stormcast. Because, you know, I just do stuff because I enjoy it. I think that'd be funny. So, let's see. August says, hey, Doug, great seeing you live again. Been working on the Beasts of Chaos and got the Start Collecting box. Loved building that up. Awesome, dude. Legit pumped for you. That's actually, when that came out, I think I got like 4 comments an hour the first week that book came out of like, hey Doug, when are you going to sell off your Iron Jaws and pick up Beasts of Chaos? Because everyone knows, first of all, that I army hop, but secondly, that I love any kind of Chaos Undivided Force. And it's been a temptation. I don't know, because like we have 2 guys in our group, so Brent and Mark both have a bunch of Beasts of Chaos stuff. Brent has more of the Brayherd. Mark has wonderful looking Warherd models. And so I've always been like, well, I don't want to get into it because it already exists in an abundance in our group. At the same time, Brent never plays his, and Warherd plays differently than, say, the totality of Beasts of Chaos. It's a very different faction. And so, I don't know. I'd be more open to it, for sure. Dirty side glares from my gaming group aside. They're not. They're great. They're very supportive. Thunderscorn, yeah, dude. Kenzie, I see the Shia LaBeouf. Do it would be great for a corn unit. Yep. Yeah, that's amazing. So that kind of stuff. I don't know, doing that kind of fun. Green screen is one of the few effects that I can do pretty darn well. I think it could be a blast. So anyway, yeah, so sketch are something I plan on doing as well. Lehman Russ, I called you selling off the Iron Jaws. I still have those bone splitters when you want to change again. Wait, do you have bone splitters? Or did you offer me your bone splitters? I don't think I remember that. Lehman Russ, did you offer me your bone splitters? Let me think about that. So I did have a large bone splitter army. It's one of the few things that yeah. I'm gonna go, so okay, fun fact. Whenever someone posts a link in the chat, I have to approve it. That's why, like, so those scammers don't hop in here. I'm gonna go ahead and let that in. Submit your sketch ideas to rerolling1jack@gmail.com. If everyone in the chat could collectively say "get back to work, Jack," that'd be awesome. I would really support that. Telling me needs to go back to work to buy the Iron Jaws. Let's see. Yeah, go back to work, Jack. Yay. Yay. Sorry, go back to the comments here. Joel, I said, I have not seen a Beast of Chaos done as a Nurgle Zinch Corn yet. I have not seen... Oh, Nurgle or Zinch yet. Corn seems popular. Okay. Yeah, totally. And that's because, like I said, if you can ally stuff in with Corn, the Bloodsecrator is just such a no-brainer. It's so good with that army. I think that's definitely the most clear and obvious addition. Because it doesn't require a lot of investment, I think is honestly a big part of it, just not requiring a lot of investment outside Beasts of Chaos. But I do think a lot of the other ones, like if you get 2 boxes of the Start Collecting box, you have a battalion to do whatever faction you want to do, and that's super cool. Merchant Prince, what are your thoughts on using Beasts of Chaos in a God-aligned army? I like to take it into Magickin army, but the battalion is a bit pricey considering its effects. Well, here's the thing about the battalion that makes them all Nurgle. It makes them all Nurgle. And so when you think about what you're getting for that price of the battalion as far as your Brayherd people who can already run and charge and be all kinds of crazy, getting bonuses from the Nurgle wheel, and you know, the Glotkin can give everyone +1 attack that's around him, or you know, there's a myriad of things. So when you think about the price of that, don't just think about how much of your list it's taking, but also consider what you're getting from that from just being Magotkin. I mean, Blades of Putrefaction, I think you can do it to them. I don't know why, unless it says mortal unit, because Beast Herd don't have mortal keyword. But all your dudes who hit on a 6 do mortal wounds, crazy stuff. So I'd like to try it. Crap, I might like... Slaves of Darkness can ally with Beasts of Chaos. I might just do that. I don't know. Love that stuff. Love the versatility in that. So yeah, as far as like how I think about it, I think it'd be awesome. I didn't see the Zinch one though. I don't know what the rules are on that. The thing is, Destiny dice are awesome, objectively, super good. I don't know how much more you gain with Destiny dice in Beasts of Chaos that you wouldn't gain from, say, Slaves of Darkness. You know what I mean? Is the difference that great that you would choose the Beasts of Chaos and the price of the battalion over, say, Marauders and Warriors? I'm not sure about that one. I have to check into that. But the Nurgle one, he just carries so many allegiance abilities with him. Just the trees and being able to block off things, opponents' deployment zone, and I don't know. There's a bunch of cool stuff. Probably want more of a Beast Herd army, 3 of the starters and some Gores, and I think I will be set. I'll let you know if you should jump on them. Yeah, please do. Lehman Russ, about the Bone Splitters. Yeah, I offered them as a joke when you first got Iron Jaws. I had them sitting in round and primed. My YouTube handle was Micah Nations. Oh, okay. Yep, I do remember that. I was like, I couldn't place Lehman Russ. Yes, I do remember that now. That's awesome. I will pass because I painted an exorbitant number of Bone Splitters back in the day. Blades of Putrefaction, that's what it is. I think it said Putrefaction earlier. I think at this point, Nurgle is the most diverse god army. You get Slaves to Darkness, Rotbringers, Demons, Skaven, Pestilence, and Beasts of Chaos. I think you are accurate. I think the only other thing I can think of is if you consider Slaves to Darkness its own thing, because then with the Chaos keywords, you can be all 4 Chaos Gods, Slaves to Darkness, Ever Chosen. You can do a lot of things there. But as far as like dedicated gods, you are absolutely correct. Nurgle is by far the most diverse. I'm waiting for everything to dry, so I'm not just like meandering. Let's see here. Joel says, do they get mortal keyword from... Do they get the mortal keyword for the buff from Harbinger of Decay? No. At no point do Beasts of Chaos become mortal. And that's kind of their one... I think it's definitely a balancing factor, because a lot of things are based on if you're mortal. They just get the god keyword. Take over Mars. So I'm starting a narrative campaign, but have no idea how to do it. Any advice? Well, I'm going to be doing my first ever narrative campaign on the channel, so you can learn by example over time, but that won't be for a little while, not until like mid-January, unfortunately. My GameMat.eu order with the table and everything I need, it got delayed a bit because you ran out of stock. As far as doing a narrative campaign, you know what I miss? The first General's Handbook had the best guide ever to doing a narrative campaign, where it just gave you 3 missions, and it was like a little simple storyline, like, hey, here's the first game. If player A wins, do this. If player B wins, do that. And then it just kind of brings you into this loop until you find a winner of the story arc. And I kind of missed that, and my GHB #1 got damaged in the move, so I don't have it anymore. That's definitely, I think, the easiest route to go. Start laying some base down inside this sucker. That's definitely the easiest way I would say to go, but I'm not quite sure. Let's see here. So, as far as like a narrative campaign, what I would definitely say is decide what you want the story to be before you begin. Like, for example, so if you are a patron, you know this, but I'm getting a whole bunch of stuff to do battle reports on the channel, and because I moved into the new place with the studio room, and what I decided to do is I made a fictional city. Well, I guess it's all fictional, but I made a city out of nothing in Shyish. And I'm going to have basically a narrative campaign that is the assault on the city. Like, it is a very clear, you know what I mean, like beginning and end, as far as like, this is the place we are. There's going to be a fight outside the city walls. There's going to be a fight at the gates, doing a skirmish thing to see if the invader forces can open the gate. And then there's going to be a couple big battles inside, and then it's going to culminate in one of the forces doing like a last stand, whether that's the invader because they got pushed back, or it's the defender because they just simply got overrun. And that's kind of the gist of that campaign. That's kind of my arc. Is, hey, here's a city, we're gonna invade it. Let's see how we can make that happen. So as far as like narrative campaigns go, I would say just define the basics: where you're fighting, what you're fighting for, who are the combatants. It's easier if you know who the forces are. It's harder if you're just like having something at a store where anyone can just kind of walk up, because it's hard to jam some armies into a story arc. You know what I mean? If it wasn't initially designed with them in mind. But that would be my advice. Decide on a story and then find ways to make that possible, or to tell that story. So for example, mine is they're attacking a city, right? So like, how do I make that happen? Okay, well, I want to have at least one totally normal fight, like a normal straight up game, no modifications to the rules, just to get used to recording. So that's going to be my fight outside the gate. Next thing is the bad guys, the invaders, have to breach the defenses. Okay, so I'm going to do a skirmish game to see if they can open the gate. And that I'm going to have consequences. So if they open the gate, there's reinforcements on one side. If they don't, there's reinforcements on the other. And then the stuff inside the city is going to be mostly just picking really cool battle plans which is something I also suggest. Look at your battle tome because they all have really cool, fluffy battle plans, just like ways of laying out a mission that would be super cool. So I'm going to be playing those and then just having consequences narratively, but not necessarily in-game for every single one of them. Because here's the thing, like, the only thing with narrative campaigns you got to be careful of is the snowball effect, where like if one person starts winning, their bonuses they get for winning are so great that it just kind of steamrolls everything. So to combat that, sometimes it's a victory narratively, but there's no real rules repercussions for it, and that's just kind of have to play that one by ear. You always want your games to matter and affect the next thing in the story, but I think if you're just starting, that can get out of hand really quickly. So if you play 10 games, just have 2 or 3 of them affect later in the campaign. Would be my suggestion. Don't have to follow it. Don't have to like it. It's all good. Let's see here. I'm missing some stuff here. Game Talker, off topic, but have you tried 40k Dice Masters yet? If so, what are your thoughts? I have never played a Dice Master game. I have no idea, but I'm interested. I don't think I've ever seen it in stores, honest with you. Jack asks, is it going to be you and Jess in the campaign? I believe so. I know she'll probably at least play the skirmish one. She's not super interested in being on a channel a whole lot. Like, I want to use her as a guinea pig for some stuff, but honestly, she's more of a likes to be in the shadows in the background. Do voice work, but not actually be on camera. That kind of stuff. But I think she'd have fun. And I don't know. We'll see. John Penn, any chance you could explain how Skaven work now? It is the one thing I do not understand with coming back to the game recently. Sure, John, I can do that. I assume you're talking about lore-wise, or do you mean army gameplay-wise? So really quickly, lore-wise, they still exist, and they are unique as a faction because they're able to get from realm to realm without the use of a realm gate, meaning they can just kind of travel wherever they want to go, and they're very cool. When they when they moved from AOS, from Warhammer Fantasy Battles, they basically split all of the clans, lore-wise, that were in the old books into their own sub-factions. Much to the consternation of many, including myself. So far, the only Skaven clan that has a supporting book is Clan Pestilence, who, if you remember from Fantasy Battles, was all about disease and decay and using basically biological weapons to get the job done. Fun fact, that's actually the lore videos coming out this week. I'm going to record them all tomorrow. I might do another live stream tomorrow night, actually, to get more painted. And then the other clans, so Scryer, Eshin, Verminus, all those things like that, they're all their own little things. They can all ally with each other, so you get, if you're playing a 2,000 point game, you get 400 points of wiggle room to take from each whatever you want. As far as like building an army of them, it's a tricky place right now. I'm not gonna lie to you. If Clan Pestilence is fully supported in terms of having enough battle line units and all this with that, it's its own thing. Everything else, it's not easy. It's just not easy because of the low model counts for each individual clan. And what I really do hope is they come out with a Skaven book soon that allows each of them to take slaves in faction. I think that would be a huge deal. That alone would be absolutely amazing. So, if you have more specific questions, like if you're asking about lore, if you're asking about rules-wise, I'm super heavy in the chat right now, so just go ahead and ask that. And I'm a little behind. I'm catching up. Let's see here. Kinsey, I'm stuck on how to format the document on my narrative campaign idea. It's mostly an idea for a setup with actual missions and armies in play, up to whoever decides to play. Okay, so you have a bunch of like scenarios for people to play, and they can just hop in. That's kind of interesting. Where's Prince? I don't know what time it is there in America, but it's nice to have a stream at a reasonable hour for myself in Australia. It is 9:00 p.m. here in the Pacific Northwest. I just finished my last cup of coffee for the day because that's all I do is to drink coffee. So we're good. Kinsey says the harrowing of Honor's End. I like that. So Honor's End is the name of my fictional city in my narrative campaign idea. Acrylic alchemist. Acrylic chemist. Good luck with the skulls under the altar. Yeah, that's going to be a real pain. But I think with some determination and fortitude and a lot of profanity, we can get in there and get that all painted. Probably something very simple like Xandri dust, Ushabti bone, and a wash of Seraphim sepia. Something simple, but I think it always looks pretty good. Honestly, not many folks are gonna look in there. Let's see here. Joel says, looking at 288 to 291 for help on Meredith. Okay, so it looks like it is installed in the version 2, which is awesome. Maybe I just missed it. Stephen Chan. Hey, Doug, did you read the Black Library novel with Scourge Privateers yet? What are your thoughts on it? I have not. I'm really struggling to get through the Go Trek one. I did the novellas in order. And so I did War Queen and then The Red Hours by Evan Dickin, who I reached out to on his own personal email thing. He's a cool guy. I like him. He's a nice person. I might have him on the show. I'm going to invite him at some point. Anyway, so then I'm doing the Go Trick one now. Really not enjoying it. Just to give you a quick spoiler, it's a grind. But I'm very excited to get to the Scourge Privateer, which is the last one in the series. So there's going to be a review on it. But I'm very, very pumped. Joel says there's no such thing as Ratman. This is crazy. Exactly. I feel like generic Skaven can be strong. Totally. If you take, it would be, I mean, you can do a Grand Alliance Chaos Army and just choose to do only Skaven stuff and not really have to worry about the clan things at all, because clan rats will be your generic battle line all around. That's a great idea. Yep, Steven, I'm sorry. I didn't read the next comment down. That's exactly what he suggested. Totally, yeah. So what you do is you make your army Grand Alliance Chaos, and then you just take all your rats, and then you make your Skaven army exactly how you want to. Jack, when did Skaven decide to join Chaos? At the very end of the End Times. One of the last scenes in End Times, not Archeon, I think it was before that. One of the End Times books. One of the last times we see Skaven in the story arc is that Thankful, a Vermin Lord, and someone else, I can't remember who, they basically go down and bow before Archeon to join his service. And that was the very vague setup to having Skaven be part of Chaos. And then when the first book for AOS came out, the big core, like Mighty Battles in an Age of Endless War, whatever like that, they just kind of started with the premise the Great Horned Rat is in a bid for ascendancy. Brendan says, Warhammer Weekly had a good idea for Skaven list in their armies not usually played video yesterday. I still have to watch that. I saved it for my watch later. That's the kind of stuff that really interests me. They do a lot of talk about like tournament, competitive stuff. Zero interest in that. But the idea of armies that don't get played very much sounds awesome. Okay, here. Jerome, is Mortal Slanesh strong? I'm new and haven't played yet, but I have a full demon army was branching into Mortal. The Lord on Boob Monster with Hellstriders seems strong. Here's the thing. Hellstriders are amazing. Basically that -1 to hit bubble against some armies, that is crippling. Like, if you want to see some Mortal Slanesh stuff in action, you should really go check out Rerolling Ones. It's the channel that I always pimp out here. Jack plays some Slanesh stuff and does extremely well. So basically there was a game where I had Fire Slayers versus his Slanesh concoction. It was a mixture of some demons and some mortal stuff. And man, my goodness, the -1 to hit on Fire Slayers is crippling. It is soul crushing. And so you see the first 3 turns of the game was spent trying to kill his Slanesh Demon Prince, which is a super good unit and a good kind of segue between demons and mortals. Trying to think of what else. If Jack's in the chat, what else do you use? Use a Keeper of Secrets. I know that because he's pretty darn good. There's some good stuff. Be that debuff does more than -1 to hit might sound okay on paper, but when you can tag multiple units in that 6-inch bubble and you can spread your dudes out because they're on these long cavalry bases, you can get a lot of work done with that. So the debuff is terrifying. As far as it was a spa. But try to think. As far as mortal units, they don't have a whole lot of options like mortal wise. They don't have like a unique, a mortal unit like the Carrick Acolytes or Blood Reavers or what are the Fat Nurgle Blight Kings are. Nothing like that. The Hellstriders are kind of their thing, and so it's tough. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have a lot of flavor. They don't necessarily add a ton of things to the faction. Jerome says, I like the idea of mortal lords buffing slaves to darkness. Yeah, here's the thing. They don't so much... Slaanesh doesn't so much buff as he does debuff your enemy, which is good because that means the weaknesses of slaves to darkness don't matter as much, which is great. Acrylic Chemist. They got a 60 man on foot. Yeah, there's a Chaos Lord of Slaanesh who used to be Sigvald the Magnificent. And he still looks quite magnificent. Okay, set that to the side. Actually, let's get into what the Xandri Dust. We'll do that. Okay. Yeah, I think Slaanesh, currently has a lot of game, but it's a lack of options because there's not as many demon options, and because of that, they rely heavily on allies, which is totally cool. But the problem is that Slaves to Darkness doesn't add what they're looking for in terms of they already have access to a multitude of normal attacks without rend or anything like that. Which is kind of what Slaves to Darkness offers. Okay. Let's see here. Yes. Yeah, Jerome, the ability to pylon attack twice is devastating. So I'm trying to focus, getting these skulls down here, as was noted before. I don't regret this, but I both rue and lament it, to quote Fry from Futurama. Okay. It's not so bad. The big gap here, I painted tighter spaces than this. The big gap at the bottom, because I didn't put the, there's like a headsman's axe thing here. I didn't put that on. Let's see here. Kenny says, I don't have any ideas for missions per se, but more of a background for the whole narrative campaign. The start, essentially, I would leave missions up to the players. Totally. Yeah, I mean that's all that, like, Firestorm and those things are. It's just like, hey, let me give you the constructs of a story about why you're fighting, like, whether it's for territory or because you want the bonuses of this or the resources of this place. And then you kind of set things up from there. I think that's totally cool. Let's see here. Richard Prince, I'm hoping GW eventually brings out a Nurgle Rotbringer Star Collecting box. I would be down for that. It'd probably be, what, a box of Blight Kings and something else? I mean, they usually go with like a base unit and a hero. Okay. Well, so far in our conversation, I have made some painting progress on my Slaves to Darkness, but also decided to pick up Beasts of Chaos and Maggotkin of Nurgle. So y'all aren't helping me when it comes to my hobby ADD. Harpish reminds me of someone from the bosses from Silent Hill. Dude, Silent Hill is amazing. Yeah, I just absolutely I adore that series so much. I think my wife and we probably watch that movie once every 2 months. Movie's fun. It's a good adaptation. Not the best, but it's a fun one. But I'm all about that. That's super dark, very over-the-top kind of gothic stuff. Let's see here. Kinsey says, if I wrote my background for a campaign, how could I send it to you? Yeah, Patreon message would be great. Thank you so much, Kinsey. We can try to hash out some good missions for you to suggest to people. Things like that would be kind of fun. I am at some point, I think in the next month or two, going to have I want to have a lore writing competition. Not necessarily like authorship, like being a cohesive story, but like tell me about your army, where they're from, and what the battles they've done, kind of thing. It's a little more accessible. Not everyone's an author, you know what I mean? Like I certainly can't. I tried when Black Library did they did like this big competition. Like, hey, write us your story, and you could possibly become a Black Library author. I like got 3 paragraphs into a Seraphon story that I wanted to write. I really want to see some cool stuff from Seraphon, but and I got three paragraphs in. I was like, I am not a writer. I don't remember what my premise was. I think it had something to do with him, like the Slan being like super lonely. I don't remember. I remember it being cool and thinking, surely I will win. There's no way anyone could be cooler than me. And then I put pen to paper and realized literally everyone is cooler than me when it comes to writing lore. Oh, let's see here. You're welcome, Doug. Thanks for the content as I slave away my research lab. Oh, yeah, dude. This is my jam. Love doing this stuff. Strife777 Fenrir. I want to build a Slaves to Darkness heavy army, but wish so bad they had some of the attack stat. Wish so bad they had some of the attack stat lines of, say, the Iron Jaws. Do you mean you wish they didn't have that? Because basic Slaves to Darkness dudes are, what, 3 up, 4 up, and a basic Iron Jaws boy is 4 up, 3 up. So it tends to be the same. However, Iron Jaws has a ton of stuff in the background to make their stat line better than what you might think it is. So I do see that, if that's what you're saying. But yes, I do think that the humble Slaves to Darkness need some time in the sunlight as far as model and rule support. I was having this discussion with a local player over actually a 40k game of all things. But he was like, so you talk about Slaves to Darkness a lot, like, what do you think they actually need? And I thought about it, and I was like, you know, if the Warshrine had a prayer that gave me rend, I think that I would have a lot more game. Right? Pick one unit, give it rend. And I was like, that is like life-changing for this army that has nothing but a multitude of base attacks. So I don't know, I think prayers are the way to go because they have this guy. They also have wizards. They all have cool stuff. They got all this cool stuff. Just getting the oh so delicate spikes on this spire, tower, whatever you want to call it. We'll do cleanup later. Acrylic says you can do a bravery debuff Slaves to Darkness army. I did, actually. When we did the Path to Glory, I picked everything that allowed... You can get either a -3 to your opponent or a +3 to yourself. And so I went with a -3 to the opponent. And that's between command trait and an artifact on your hero. It does the -3, and so it is super nasty. Super nasty. I love it. Nothing better than like Stormcast player loses one dude and he's like super terrified of Battle Shock. And that is extremely devastating on particularly Horde armies where you just every dude you lose is another turn you don't have that unit to sit around. Let's see here. Drum said, I wish you, wondering if you had anything on Be'lakor. I heard that he used to be the guy in Archeon's spot, but was selfish. I don't know if that's true, though. My understanding, so here's the thing, my old world lore is super loosey-goosey. I know quite a bit about, like, the Elven Civil War that made High Elves and Dark Elves, not so much about the rest of it, because I was only in Warhammer Fantasy Battles for about a year as an adult. I played when I was a kid, but, you know, obviously didn't have the budget to get in all the stories. My understanding is that Be'lakor was ever chosen at one point, and then chose to go for demonhood, whereas Archeon's not settling until he gets to godhood. Merchant Prince, they ought to put Slaves to Darkness and Everchosen in a single book. Even better, what I would like is if they gave Everchosen as a keyword like one of the Chaos Gods. Because at that point, I would leave my house this very moment and go buy Archeon and 2 boxes of Varangard. Because I would love that army. But alas, they did not. The reason I say it's better is because that way the other Chaos Gods can still use Slaves of Darkness in their armies without any kind of negative repercussions. If he's just one more option like they are. Mixing Khorne to be more like Ironjaws? Totally. Totally. The Shrine isn't a hero, if I recall, so grab 3. Yes, he's a behemoth? I think. They really need to combine those two. An army with 2 units isn't really an army. Yeah, I hope their sales figures adjust for that, to be perfectly honest with you. I would like to do a slaves army just to say sail. Just to sail large squads across the board. I've done it multiple times, and it feels super, super good. One of the fun things I did on, or Tom Lyons used to do on Warhammer Weekly, was a big block of Chaos Knights, transport them across the table, and then with some other buffs, you can get them to pretty much auto-charge. And it's nasty, because Knights in your face are not something you want. Wonder if Sega is going to do a Total War in AOS. I mean, like, instead of Warhammer Fantasy Battles, AOS. Man, I hope so. That would be amazing. It would require them to actually map out in utter detail different parts of the realms, which I would be approved of, or I would approve of. I'm excited, because here's the thing, right? They came out with the IP for Age of Sigmar about 3 years ago, and some of these games, you know, it takes a lot of development time, so I'm assuming there's probably things they haven't announced yet that are in production. I guarantee it. Let's see here. That reminds me of my disappointment with the Edith Deepkin. Was unrelated to Scourge Privateers. Felt like a missed opportunity. I agree. They should have been in there. That would have been so amazing. Is the stream going to be on in 20 minutes? I work at a restaurant, need a quick shower. I'm probably going to turn it off in about 25 minutes because I'm losing my voice. And also, I'm in this weird point where everything's just kind of still wet, so I just need time to dry. So I might be turning it off here pretty soon for the night. But I think I'll be back tomorrow. Probably, let's see, probably in the evening around like 8:30 or 9. I'll be back on. Maybe we'll continue work on this guy. I like this dude. I like having the warmer wood colors. I think that'll be a nice addition to everything else. Like, because everything else is very cold, very like colorless skin and white and black, and this would be a nice little warm color. That'd be kind of cool. Let's see here. There is an AOS RPG book coming back. They confirmed it officially in response this week. Yep, there is an AOS RPG. I'm very excited about it. Not that I don't really play war-playing games, but I'm excited for picking it up to just read the background. Because I think when you start getting into the nitty-gritty of like world building and having characters explore things and ask questions, that's when cool stories happen. So real opinion, as I'm looking for a second army but low model count, would you recommend Scryer, Council of Blood, Khorne, or an Archeon-based army? Well, out of all of those 3 options, I would definitely say, what is the Council of Blood and Khorne? That's my first thought. I mean, It depends, like, how low model count you want to go. Because, like, Archeon takes up a lot of your list, but he's not super great. He's not super baller. Yeah. Let's see here. Sal asks, how do you feel about the holiday battle forces? I'm going to do a video. Actually, it'll probably be out this week. You know what? Screw that. That's tomorrow's topic when I do my video. To give you a really brief thing, I like them. They're always a stellar deal. The Daughters of Cain one, if you have any interest in playing Daughters of Cain, that's a no-brainer. Absolutely. Without question. The Deepkin box, a lot of people are complaining they give you 2 sharks. I like the sharks, the Alapex. And the other ones, I have to go back and double check, which... Yeah. I have to go back and check what the other ones are. But I'll check that out. I'll bring it up tomorrow, and we'll do like a screen share, and we'll go through them and have some fun while stuff's drying and more painting. Council Bud is 3 Bloodthirsters. Oh, yeah, do that. That's a no-brainer. Because if you do that, you can give 2 of them artifacts, and there's some wicked cool stuff. So, definitely, Council of Blood. I'm all about that noise. Let me see how this is actually turning out to look here. Okay, that would go... Where'd this go? Oh, that's his hand right there. Okay. Alright, just doing a little dry fit. Okay, perfect. Cool. Looks like everything's panning out pretty darn well. We're going to come back tomorrow and talk some more about Slaves to Darkness as I get this stuff painted up. Y'all have been awesome. I'm going to go drink some water because I'm losing my voice now. And work on some videos tomorrow. So next week's videos, we're looking at... I'm probably going to finish the Go Trek book this weekend, so that review might be tomorrow, next week. But the next week's content for sure is going to be Skaven Clan Pestilence. So, starting off with talking about what the faction is, why they don't necessarily follow Nurgle, but Nurgle gets lumped in with them, and the Great Plagues, which I just read for the first time today in detail, are horrifying in detail and what they do to you. So we'll talk about those. And then the units in the army, and... one thing I'm going to do that's kind of new towards the end is actually do a tactical video. Like, just breaking down the units and like, hey, here's how you can build a super effective Clan Pestilence army, actually for fairly cheap, money-wise, not in terms of time it takes to paint them, as a last video, because there's not a lot of units. So we'll dip our toe into the tactical ocean with Pestilence and have a good time there. And likely do an army of 200 Plague Monks, as Acrylic Chemist just suggested. So, you all have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you again, like I said, probably I'll be on tomorrow night around 8:30, 9 o'clock, my time. So, I will have started a half an hour ago tomorrow for your time change purposes. And we'll talk about the Battle Force boxes, and we'll talk about... whatever you want to talk about. So, until then, I will see you friends later. Have a wonderful evening.